Hi there. Today I'm going to talk to you about AI content writing tools and specifically AnyWord. So I've been exploring these AI content writing tools recently because there's a lot of activity on it. I've been pretty skeptical about them historically, but it seems like they're here, and it definitely warrants a deeper look. So I've been exploring the platforms. I've signed up for AnyWord, done the free trial, made a bunch of content with it. I really like the tool, so I signed up for a paid plan. And I'm going to walk you through some of the features that you have. So when you come into the platform, you get these different options for the different types of content projects that you might want to do. So for ads, you've got Facebook, Google Ads, Outbrain, Taboola, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. Blog posts, pretty straightforward. Landing pages, landing page copy, descriptions or improve existing landing pages, social posts, product descriptions, email, and even SMS. So, pretty wide range of options for creating content. For right now, we're just going to focus on blog posts. And what I'm doing is I'm using SEMrush's topic research tool around the topic of conversion rate optimization. And we're producing a content hub for one of our sites. And this is the process that we're using to find trending and link worthy content topics. And we're putting them together in a Google Sheet and producing the content. So I'm just going to pick something, use of color in call to actions. So let's take that particular thing to the AnyWord platform. So what I want to do is give it some information to work from. So this is the topic, use of color in call to actions, how the use of different colors can affect conversion rates, sales, and revenue in e-commerce sites. So I think that's just a little bit of information about what we might want to do and why and what the content's going to be about. So that's all I'm telling it. It needs it can give it up to 300 words. Next, you select the industry or topic. So this is digital marketing, SEO related. So marketing and advertising is appropriate. We can tell it the keywords, conversion rate optimization, and CRO are keywords that I want to work on. Click next. And that's about all of the input that you're really going to need to give it. So it's going to generate a title and it's going to give you some potential titles. You can rewrite your own title if you want, or pick one of the ones it generates. If it doesn't generate something you like, you can just click generate more. And I like this one. Which colors are more likely to get you to buy a product? Or how colors affect sales and revenue on e-commerce sites. I might choose that one actually because I think that might be more click worthy. Next, it's going to generate an outline. I really like the way it does this because this is basically how I think. I always structure content this way based on the research that we've done before going into it. So this is like my own process. So I really like this. I kind of think this is right. I find that from my early use of AnyWord here, I find about 70% of the time I go with the initial outline, and maybe 30% I'm rewriting once, and maybe 10% rewriting or regenerating twice. And sometimes I add additional sections too. But I'm going to go with this. I like this. This looks good. So intro paragraph. It generates an intro paragraph. Also, I should note on some of the ad stuff, this is based off the $250 million or $270 million ad spend and the performance of those different campaigns. They use that and they actually give you, next to the content they produce, they give you a score, optimization score based on real ad campaigns. So I think that's really neat. I like that. So let's look at the ad paragraphs, the intro paragraphs they've given us here. More important than ever. Just choose one real quick here. Using the right colors in your call to action can help boost your conversion rate. But how do you exactly choose that? Yeah, we like that. We'll go with that one. And then, so that's the setup complete. Next, you go to the editor. It gives you these tips, overview of the project brief. You can always go there and review it. It's telling us that's the amount of words that we have generated so far. So these are the sections that it outlined. And you can choose short, medium, or long. I usually err on the side of long. And you can just generate, or you can generate with instructions. And it only gives you 15 words, but these are just hints to tell it. So optimize conversion rates. Spell that. So using a tool to help with that. Optimize conversion rates for conversion rates based on use of color. So I'm telling it to generate with that instruction so that it's going to be a little more relevant to this article. And it only takes a few seconds. It's thinking, and it's going to spit out the text it generated and populate that, and you get to review it. I like that. As soon as possible. Quick scan, it suggests that it has the right sort of things in there. I can see something here that I might actually end up editing. So I always edit these after the fact. And what I'm finding so far with these AI tools is I spend about the same amount of time editing them as I would if I got it from a content writer, or if I just did it myself and then edited it. So the actual editing time doesn't really change, and I'm always going to go through and edit these articles anyway. But the speed at which I can produce this content, compared to sort of sending it to a writer, is really good. So quickly, I'm also going to give it instruction here, just because I think the basics is a bit too general. Basics of conversion optimization. And I left that on medium there. I think I'm going to regenerate that. I mean, it's solid content, but well, maybe that is the basics. I'll leave it like that for now. This is just a demo, but you can click regenerate, and it'll go regenerate that. Why are conversion rates important? I think I want that to be long. Generate. So you'll see here in a second that will have generated the text. There we go. Okay, so I went through and finished those sections. It did not take very long at all. So that's the article complete, and you can click copy to copy blog post to clipboard. Generated 867 words. So I pasted that content into a Google Doc here, and that is going to form the basis of my article. And you can see how quick and efficient that was in AnyWord. I really like this. I think it's really awesome. I'm just going to jump back to an ad. Let's do Google search ad. Let's see. So I think this already has the output of what we did before. And in fact, I think I can just come find it. Yeah. So I did a LinkedIn ad copy for SEO audit. And this is what it gave. So it gave me headlines, descriptions. You can choose different styles. And as you do this, it's not showing it here. I think maybe it is. It doesn't show you that. But when you're creating it, it gives you the sort of relative score here, and the different options and how well they perform. And you can just click copy, and it puts it in a whiteboard view here. And you can sort of build your, build your content as you go. Build your ad. Same for landing pages and other things like that. Choose the different styles that you want to talk about and use. I think this is really good. I'm going to be using this a lot more, and I'll probably update more on it soon. Thanks very much, guys.